Hi guys, here is part 6 of my top 100 Vita games. Wait, no, it's part 7 of my top 100 Vita games. It's been great to see your comments coming in and your thoughts on the list so far. Keep them coming. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, especially as we get closer to number 1. Number 40, Metal Gear Solid HD Collection. When the Metal Gear Solid Collection came out just a few months after the Vita's release, it had me so excited for the possibility of HD remakes of other PS2 games, like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy XII. We did get some PS2 HD re-releases, but not all the games I would have wanted. Among the ones we did get, the Metal Gear Solid Collection stands out as one of the best remakes of a PS2 game. The graphics look amazing, the gameplay is still superb, and the use of the Vita's touchscreen feels natural rather than shoehorned in. I don't feel that Metal Gear Solid 2 is aged all that well, especially with the fixed cameras. But Metal Gear Solid 3 is still an excellent game, in terms of story, characters, gameplay and bosses, and it alone justifies the price tag for this collection. #39. Muramasa Rebirth. Gorgeous graphics and excellent 2D action make Muramasa a great game to sink time into. There are 2 stories to play through in the base game that take the 2 protagonists through Japan, taking on evil ninjas and hideous monsters, and even the gods themselves. The plot can be kinda convoluted, but the fast-paced gameplay more than makes up for it. It can be pretty difficult to fight some of the bosses and the optional challenge caves, but I also found it quite addictive trying to collect all 108 swords. The 4 DLC packs with new stories, new bosses and new protagonists is also worth grabbing. Where some DLC can be a bit superficial, the 4 additional packs add a good amount of extra content. 38. Danganronpa 2. There aren't many visual novels in my top 100. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I associate reading with going to bed, so I tend to get tired when just reading. Most visual novels aren't able to hold my attention, but Danganronpa 1 and 2 are games that had me hooked and kept me at the edge of my seat at all the twists and turns and crazy events. Both games are great, and so unique in their premise of high school students being trapped and needing to murder each other to escape. I personally prefer Danganronpa 1 over 2, which is why it appears higher on my list, but both games should be played, and in order. #37. Super Time Force Ultra. The rewind mechanic is so clever in this 2D shooter platformer. The objective is deceptively straightforward. You choose your character from a range of fighters, and you need to get to the end of a level and kill the boss in 1 minute. Trying to do this with just one person, essentially one life, is pretty much impossible. At least I found it impossible. As you die, you get to rewind the level and place another character to start off at any point in the level, so you can build on the progress of the preceding characters, and by rewinding and adding more characters, you can eventually finish a level. So that 1 minute level can actually take around 15 to 20 minutes to finish by the time you get through it. Planning ahead and figuring out the proper placement of characters and how to get them to work together adds a lot of depth and strategy, and the pixel graphics are great. The only drawback is the slowdown on the Vita when there's lots of action on screen, but otherwise it's a deep and enjoyable game. #36. Grand Kingdom. There is so much to do in Grand Kingdom. This strategy RPG has you recruit a variety of soldiers and take them on missions moving across a grid with the aim of completing your mission within a set number of turns. You fight enemies along the way in turn-based battles that could get pretty difficult at times. The story was kind of inconsequential, and some of the game's elements were not well explained, like the online battles, but I love the options and variety of warriors to recruit. You've got the standard Knight, Mage, Archer character classes, but you've also got Beast Riders, which are my favourite. There's so much content in this game, and playing through it all will keep you entertained for dozens of hours. #35. Dragon Quest Builders. I find it amazing that this game plays so well on the Vita. The graphics look great, and the open world where you can build any structure is so impressive. I couldn't get into Minecraft, but in Dragon Quest Builders, I love the mission structure that helps you get to grips with building mechanics, exploring and battling. There are 4 worlds to complete. Once you finish all the missions in a world, you can move on to the next one. But I enjoyed just lingering and experimenting and building more structures. It's a shame Dragon Quest Builders 2 didn't make it to Vita, but 1 is such a great game and so enjoyable. Number 34. Binding of Isaac. Binding of Isaac is one of the best twin-stick shooters on the Vita. The procedurally generated dungeons has you fighting through rooms full of monsters with loads of different weapons and power-ups to collect, although some of the power-ups can actually make things harder for you. It's a roguelike, so when you die you start right back at the beginning. It took me many tries to eventually finish the game, but there are so many characters to unlock that I just jumped straight back in and kept playing. It's so easy to jump in for a quick go, and it's just so much fun. This is another game I don't intend to ever delete from my Vita. Number 33. Ys Origin. Ys Origin was the first Ys game I played, and I was really surprised at how much I loved it. This fast-paced 2D action RPG was just so much fun to play, and despite not playing previous games in the series, I enjoyed the story and characters. The graphics do look pretty dated, as this is a re-release of a pretty old game, but the gameplay holds up perfectly, and the soundtrack was great. "32. Papers, Please." Papers, Please has you playing the role of a depressingly poor border control officer for the country of Arstotzka. You need to check the passports and visas of people wanting to enter the country, and make sure you don't let anyone in that shouldn't be there. It probably sounds kinda boring just from the high-level description of the game, but there are so many layers to Papers, Please. The start of the game has you only really looking at whether the passports have expired or not, but as you progress, there are new rules brought in to complicate your review of the documents. You'll need to check visas match what people are saying, check x-rays of people for weapons, look at fingerprints to make sure people are who they say they are, and much more. Each person you review and make the correct decision on gives you credits, which you need to pay for rent, food and heating in order for you and your family to survive. If you ever go into negative money, it's game over. The story and options develop over time, giving you the option to take bribes to keep your family fed, or you could even choose to help overthrow the government. The graphics may not look like much, but this is a deep game that tests your brain, memory and morals. 31. Neurovoider. The developer's description of Neurovoider is: Neurovoider is a twin-stick shooter RPG set in a cyber-futuristic world about brains shooting evil robots with nuclear rocket launchers. That is a perfect description. This is one of the most fun twin-stick shooters I've ever played. There's so much customization and variety of weapons. The gameplay is easy to pick up and play, and it's just really enjoyable. I had such a good time playing Neurovoider, and it's another game I'll return to often. The bosses are particularly difficult, but it's just so addictive trying again and again to beat them. If you like twin-stick shooters, then this is well worth checking out. That's all for this week, guys. Come back next week for part 8 of my top 100 Vita games.